All right. Hey, guys. Welcome. Thank you for joining. My name is Ed Laura. I'm a senior solution architect. I work on the storage product team for Storage Gateway, Data Sync, and AWS Transfer Family. Today, we're going to talk about a simple way to access your data via a web browser, data that's stored in S3 without code, a simple web application that allows you to get non-technical users to access data that you've already got in S3. And we've got a new feature as well to highlight today. So quick agenda, we'll do a short overview of AWS Transfer Family web apps. It's the key feature. And then we'll do a short demo showing you the end user experience of what that looks like. We'll cover the new feature that we've just launched, and we'll provide you with some additional resources if you'd like to get started and build this on your own. So, the core problem, we have many customers, many verticals that have data in S3, and we need a simple way for human users, non-technical users in many cases, to access that data. Using things like the S3 console are oftentimes not an option, so we want a simple way for those humans to actually be able to log in via a web browser and just browse the data, do things like download the certain files, browse directories, and just be able to share that data. So we know that there's stringent security needs, so we need a secure solution. Alternative solutions can be quite costly. And there's also options. Some customers go off and build custom solutions. So we're trying to take some of that legwork off of the customer and build it ourselves, making it simple for you to deploy and take advantage of. AWS Transfer Family Web Apps is part of the AWS Transfer Family. It's modular. There's multiple different options here. So our core service is file transfer servers. We use the SFTP protocol. So we host an SFTP server for you. It's highly available. It's highly performant. And that allows SFTP clients to connect in to an SFTP endpoint within the region. And that can store data in S3. It can also store data in EFS as well. So there's other storage options, but today we're going to focus on that data stored in S3. And you notice that there's an event icon as well. Many customers build event-driven data workflows using this service. So data can come in from a third party, a partner, and land in your bucket where an event gets triggered, and we can go off and trigger some sort of processing or additional pipeline down the road. The other way we have is file transfer connectors. So in this case, we act as the SFTP client on your behalf. Again, it's hosted in the region, and this allows us to go out and push or pull files from a remote SFTP server. So first case, we are the server, clients connect in. Second case, we are the SFTP client, and we can push and pull to external sources. Again, many event-driven workflows can be built off of this push and pull dynamic. And then the third option that we included to really round out our managed file transfer capabilities is the web UI. So many times customers will generate data, push it into S3, do some processing against that data, and maybe there's a report or there's some results that get provided. And that goes back into that same S3 bucket. So now we just want somebody to go and review that document or that image or that report. So we built a web UI. And again, once all your data is in S3, the possibilities are endless, right? We can leverage things like artificial intelligence, analytics, database services. We can do all sorts of event-driven architectures built off of this type of workflow, receiving data from third parties and being able to access it from non-technical users. We have flexible identity integration. We'll cover a few of those today. We can automate file processing, and we integrate with all of those AWS services in region. Quick view into what it looks like. Again, a very simple browser-based experience, and we're going to demo that today as well. The whole goal is to be simple to use, easy to configure. It's customizable, so you can white label it essentially. You can bring in your company logo. You can have a custom URL. You have ways to basically customize it so it looks like your company brand. And we meet all of the compliance, HIPAA, FedRAMP, and others. So do a short demo here. All right, so you can see we're logging in. Make sure it's going. Okay, so we have a username and password. We actually tie back to an identity provider. So you can provide an identity provider, could be your Active Directory credentials, so your users use those same username and passwords that they're used to using. We have the notion of groups that you can create, so you can actually have read-write access, and you can also customize that logo. In this case, we're talking about a read-write user, so they can not only browse the directory, but they can also create folders and upload files right through a native browser. And so browsing should be pretty straightforward. It's just a directory structure. We can drag and drop files from our local workstation, upload those into that S3 bucket, where you may have events that trigger off of notifications to go and process that new data that you just uploaded, or you can use this to share files across your organization. We have all sorts of sort functions. And we have options to overwrite existing files. So if we go back to the root, we can also search. And this is very helpful if we don't know where those documents are. Again, these are potentially non-technical end users who just need to find the data that they're looking for. In this case, we searched off of Q4. If we go back to the root again, we can also create new folders. Very simple operations, meant to be very simple for those end users. And when we do this, those new folders and files are now available in that S3 bucket. So if you have external applications that are also accessing this same data, they can now read that data as well. We can move files as well. Here we'll move a file to that new folder that we just created, and it's a simple copy operation. So we're going to sign out. That was our read-write user. We also have the ability to have read-only. In this case, we call it financial analyst. And as we log in, we can actually narrow the scope of what that user or group has access to. So they only see the data that they have access to, and we can grant that access. We'll show that in a little bit. But you can see the options are now limited. We can't upload any files, we can't create new folders. However, we can download files because we can read them. So what are the main use cases? I mentioned being able to share files within your organization, so your workforce users having internal access to this data that's in S3. You can also leverage it for third-party partner sharing. Perhaps you have some partners that you know you need to share data with, and you want a secure way to do that where they don't have to install a client, they don't have to download anything. They can just go straight to a web browser, and we can control their identity access through Identity Center. So how do we set this up? Again, it's meant to be simple. We're going to leverage IAM Identity Center. You may already have that set up. We can tie into an existing Identity Center instance, or you can create a new one. We also then define user access through S3 access grants. So that's how we can control which user groups have access to which data, so that you don't give too much access. And then simply you go to the Transfer Family console, and you create and you can design that web app within Transfer Family. There's no code needed. You simply create the app. It provides an endpoint, which is a URL, and that's going to be a public endpoint, so it's available over the internet. And that's where we're going to talk about a new feature that we launched as well. But here's the general architecture. Again, those end users can be sitting anywhere from home from another location, and they're just going to connect over the internet, and we're going to tie Identity Center to your corporate identity provider. Could be Active Directory, Entra ID, Ping Identity, Okta, where you can enable also things like multi-factor authentication to ensure that that data is only accessed by the right folks. In the back end, the Transfer Family web app runs in region. It again talks to S3 and access is controlled through S3 access grants, and all that data is stored in Amazon S3. So what we launched just last week was the ability to have VPC endpoint for web apps. This, again, further tightens the security. Let's say we have only our internal users that we want to have access, meaning they are connected to the VPN. They're on our internal network. I don't want this exposed publicly to the internet where folks can try to log in. So we basically can now have two options. We can deploy this publicly still over the internet where it is secure, we can control access, or we can lock it down even further for these internal workforce users. And if you look at the architecture, we've now got those two options. So your authenticated users can still be from home, they just may need to be logged in over VPN or connected from another site over Direct Connect, something along those lines, where you access a VPC endpoint. And again, you have the URL, you can customize your URL, and then that goes to the Transfer Family web app. And you'd have that same end user experience that we just demoed. So this is pretty high level, 200 level talk. We do have a lot more detailed information. We've got a workshop that's out there that you can go and create and set up your access grants. That's published through the Workshop Studio catalog. You also have some getting started videos. We've been making an effort to put these videos on YouTube so you can go back, watch those, see how to configure them, and essentially get up and running with your web app in short order. Also, always a good idea to go to our main page where we have customer references as well as documentation, blogs, and everything that you would need to get started and move forward. The other last one, interesting one was the integration with Okta. We've got a specific video out there that shows how to integrate with Okta. We know that's a popular identity provider, and with that we can then enable things like multi-factor authentication as well. All right, that's it. Short and sweet presentation. So hopefully simple, easy access to your data in S3. My name is Ed Laura. You can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out, connect, and hopefully this was helpful for you guys. And if you don't mind, my plea to please fill out the survey, and hopefully this was helpful and leave feedback.